Good evening, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Finance and Personnel Committee on Monday, March 11th at 6:45 P.M. Roll call, Brenner's here, Yates,
Here.
Martin here. All present. Brenda?
Right, I just wanna say, start off by saying, we don't have the up-to-date budget report this time because still trying to, muddle through the month of last month when we did our check run. We mailed them on the 14th or 15th of February. And as of the 29th, nobody had received their checks. So we ran another reissued all the checks. And 3 days later, everybody received 2 checks. So we are working with the bank every day to void, reject paychecks, go through all of that, so. It's a mess right now, so I haven't gone back in and voided those, we have just a few more to clear, and then we can get that mess straightened up, so. Maybe next month.
Is that because of the software or the post office?
Post office. Yeah, they were mailed and I don't know what happened to them, but then all of a sudden they must have. They either found them and put them back into circulation or they just got caught up into something and.
That cost us any money and stuff.
Not so much staff payment, but we did have to pay some interest because of the February tax settlements and if they're not received by a certain date. And you know, the county was like, I'm not getting this, I'm not getting it, you know, so then. They gave us some time, but and then all of a sudden we had to check, so. So, yeah, so all those voids and whatever will be entered into the system. So, and this check run, however, is a lot significantly smaller than that one. Because, pretty much.
The only question I had, and that's probably because I knew this, 33,000 for parking fees. Will Mr.
So that's from the mobile home park, so they pay us every month for parking fees and we send a portion of that to the school district.
Oh, okay.
So I just did like one check for it last year.
Okay.
So that goes to them. The Wiesner,
Yeah, that was.
yeah, development, that is, salt and snow plowing. So for the winter, the whole winter, the everything, because we were not getting their invoices.
Ron, do you think that's, I had emailed Brenda a little while ago and asked if. You had a chance to review those invoices and Brenda indicated you had not, but does that seem like? A reasonable amount?
She gave a couple of us, this evening when I looked at it.
So that's for the whole year then.
So far, yeah.
For the whole season, sorry.
Right.
Do we get
Thus
that
far.
April blizzard?
Thus far.
Nobody.
You know it's coming.
It's kind of, yeah. So that here.
Okay.
Yeah, so other than that, everything is pretty much. Kind of same.
I know that this is not. It's not astronomical, but $3.75 for an IT.
Yeah, they're usually like 75 cents. There was some other stuff that they charge us for. It's through the Lucifer.
Oh, it is,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So I looked at that, like,
yeah, that one goes like 75 cents or something. It's so big.
where's the 75 cents?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anybody has any further questions? Entertain a motion to accept the bills.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to pay the bills as presented to us. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn, second. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to call the Village of Lannon board meeting to order for Monday, March 11, 2024 at 7 p.m.
Please make sure your phones are silent, remove your hats. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's part of
That's part of it. Yeah, thank you. So I will call after. He is out of town and Grace is on maternity leave.
Yeah, he was due like last week.
He was? I hope not.
Oh, joint effort.
I'm gonna invest money in that job.
Yeah. Why are they going home these days? Good evening, Hector. I'm sorry, but you missed the best part of the meeting. All right, item number 3, roll call.
Alex Rhodey. Here. Grenier. Here. Lakewood. Here. Martin. Here. Nellis.
Here.
Yates.
Yep, here. Statement of public notice.
Motion posted.
Item number 5, discussion and possible action on reading correction and approval of the minutes from the 2/12/24 village board meeting.
Move to approve.
Second,
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the 2/12 meeting. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, committee reports. Finance and personnel.
we will cover on item 9 and on item 16.
Thank you. Legislative. We don't have a legislative currently. Parks and Recs beautification.
We received a contract from Complete Lawn Services for the 2024 lawn maintenance services at the ball fields. The amount is $2,376. I'm gonna make a, request that we approve that. I believe it's in the budget, so I don't know that we need to take an action on it. It's just a renewal of a contract that's already in the budget from before. I did competitively bid it and it is far below what I could get anywhere else. And Dennis says they do a good job. And so I called them today and told them we were gonna renew this. So with permission of the board, I'm gonna execute that renewal of contract for, that's for weed prevention and fertilization of the ball fields and park. We did have a volunteer, Carl Mathiak volunteered to prune the trees and shrubs at the area between the Lions parking lot and Landon Road. He will also be cutting down some dead trees in the park so that we can grind the stumps and save on the actual falling of the dead trees. He's gonna take the wood. Cut and Go will be providing us with free wood chips for the planting beds in the park, and Carl will be spreading those chips. So thank you Carl for that work. The Stonemen are proposing the addition of 4 dugouts to the Schneider Dawson Fields this spring. They are chain link enclosures with tarps on the top to provide shade to the players during the summer. The approximate value of these dugouts is about $18,000, and the Stonemen have raised the funds for these improvements themselves. I did talk to Paul today, and he said that there would be no permits that need to be pulled in order to do that work. So I will convey that to them, and they can do that work whenever they secure their contracts. Jan Schmidt and the car show are looking into funding procurement of new banners for the village to install during the spring, summer, fall. In addition to the banners that Patrick's Business put out for the holiday season. We're looking at size and content in the coming weeks.
Wednesday.
Our Wednesday night, you're gonna still have that meeting?
Yep, we're still on, right?
Yeah. All right, so, holiday tree, I have to get those lights off of there. I haven't done it yet. Patrick and I will coordinate on that. The Easter Bunny is gonna be at the Village Hall, March 23rd. The rummage sale is May 4th, July 28th is Cars on Main, and September 14th is the 3K awareness walk. This Saturday, March 16th at 10 a.m. at the Village Hall, I've called a meeting for parks beautification and to talk about making a business guide and welcome wagon, publication for new residents to Lannon. So if anyone can make that meeting on March 16th, Brenda, do I have to do a public notice?
Yes, I will do that
Will I be able to do that on Saturday if we don't do the public notice until,
tomorrow. Yeah, you just need 24 hours.
24 hours? Okay, good. So we got enough time for that. This week, the large dead tree at the entrance to the park was taken down. There's an invoice in the amount of $1,600 that was received. They had given us several estimates for various work that needed to be done in the park. We approved the one for grinding out that large stump that was in the play area and the cutting down of the live locust that was in the power lines. They went ahead and took down the dead tree, and I don't think we actually approved that estimate. So I would like to ask the village to look at the invoice for the removal of that dead tree. And if we could have that approved in the finance committee, right, Brenda, you're gonna bring that to the finance? Okay, good. But that's down now, and that is it for parks and beautification.
So that'll be for next month's. finance?
Yeah, so this will be next month's finance meeting.
Thank you, Colleen. Public safety,
Nothing to report.
public works, recycling, sewer.
Nothing at this.
Quarry. Okay, department reports, clerk's office.
We are working on the election stuff. Absentee ballots came in today. We will get those out in the mail tomorrow. In-person absentee voting starts on the 19th, in our office. And we also have our annual, accounting audit at the end of the month, so we're gathering information for that and getting that over to the auditors. So we will be doing that right with the election stuff at the end of the month, so. Reminder, the election is April 2nd and polls are open 7 AM to 8 PM.
Do we anticipate the audit being any easier now with Workhorse
I think it
implemented?
will be, yeah, and they have another system that they work off of that we upload our files to so that they can review them, and it works pretty slick. Too, so I can just drop those files in that program for them, and then they can open up the stuff, so I think it'll be good.
Police department,
The chief emailed the monthly activity report to everyone, so if you have any questions, let me know. A couple things that we have coming up, we have our civilian response to active shooter event presentation on Sunday at 9 AM. 9 AM, maybe 10 AM. Either way, it's Sunday. So it's about an hour and a half or so presentation, it's free, so whoever wants to come. And then April 14th is our first Coffee with a Cop event. And that would be held here as well.
excellent, thank you. Item number 8, citizen comments. This is not for public comments on any subject without any discussion by the board of trustees, members, or action except for possible referral to a governmental body or village agent. Jan?
I'm not gonna stand, you know my name. First, I'd like to know the mess up at the park, when that's gonna be taken care of. And secondly, there's 4 bushes that will die. He cut them right down to the base of the bush. If you didn't notice, I took pictures. Whoever did it. Basically did a horrible job. Horrible. He slaughtered those bushes and the tree. So I needed just to make that comment, because if this is beautification to the park, it's not working.
Okay, thank you, Jan. Ben Wood.
I understand this might be trustee Amy Martin's last meeting here in person. And I didn't want to let the moment pass without saying thank you on behalf of me, resident Ben Wood. and my family. We moved out to Lynn and it was a very tumultuous time in the middle of our controversial water project, and there were plenty of days that we questioned whether or not that was the right move, but it sure meant a lot to me and my family to have trustee Martin and her family be very hospitable, welcome us to the village. She has a son that's the same age as one of my kids, and it was great to set up play dates before school even started, and for our kids to have a friend at school that they recognized, and everything just meant a lot. So one, two, thank you for this.
Ben? Seeing no other sign-ups, I'll move on. Consideration of updates to the village's personnel manual and possible action to adopt the same. Carrie, I'll let you brief us here.
Yes, there was a personnel manual that was found, employee manual that was found, and I sent it to to Hector's office to have them look over it for the legalese of it. So you will see, as you went through in red, some of the things that they adjusted. Now, I did have them add the form, employee acknowledgement form, so that all employees will get a copy of the handbook once we approve it. They will have to sign it and date it, and then that'll go in their personnel file, so that we know that they've seen and they have read the employee handbook. But as you go through it, you will see in red the changes that the lawyer made. Some of the blue ones I suggested. And then there's the sections in here where, large sections were adjusted from what we had in there. And then they went on and they added, towards the end there, they add social media on that. Now, the only thing I was gonna ask is, Brenda, someone put paper up here that gave the dates, off days, vacation days.
Yeah,
Is Good Friday always in there?
Good Friday, yes, but it depends how, I mean, we're still open, we have to be open just because it falls the Friday before the election. It doesn't always fall that way, but most of it.
So do you feel that should be a day that's added on in the personnel manual? Because right now, all the other days match under vacation.
Under the holidays.
Yeah.
No, there was only like 6 or something there, wasn't there?
No, we have Memorial Day, Independence Day, section 9. Section 9. Yeah, we don't have Christmas Eve, we don't have New Year's Eve on it, so those are normal. Normal days,
Yeah.
and we don't have the day after Thanksgiving. So we need to have that adjusted. And then add Good Friday. Do you want us to add Good Friday?
It's up to you. Like I said, I usually have to work it anyway, so.
It's not,
Well, this year Good Friday does fall before election, because Easter being so early, but sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I still usually, well, at least do it half a day,
You
so,
have a half a day.
yes.
Okay, and you're usually half a day on Friday and it was ready. Okay, so that doesn't need to be added. We just need to add those others on there. And then there was just some, other things. I went through this line by line. With Hector and stuff and, the social media is section 12. That was completely added. Because at the time that the first one that I had was 2010. The social media was not as big, an issue. As people, it wasn't used as much as it is now. So, they added that for us. In there. So I will make some changes, have those minor changes made. Does the board feel that they want those changes in before they approve?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, or we could, if we're okay with it substantially, besides that, we could conditionally approve it.
I'd
Pending.
rather see the complete document before I issue
Yeah.
an approval. Okay.
okay. I'll send it to Hector's office with those additions.
The document is in a Word format, so what you can do is accept all the changes and just add the additional language. That way, you will have a complete document that can be circulated to the trustees in advance of the next meeting.
Okay. I think you sent it to us as you sent it to me as a PDF,
Yeah, I think
but you have it as.
I do have it as a Word document. Yep.
So you
So I
can put
can do
those
that.
changes in for us.
Yep.
Okay. So Brenda can do that, Hector.
Great. That will expedite it, because I won't be back until the 23rd. And I think if you circulate this, it'll give everyone time to be comfortable with it.
Right.
Hector, did we also need to make any provision for the chief's question regarding any department policies?
The chief asked me whether the intent was to pick up department policies. And I indicated that all existing policies of the department would be picked up, provided that they have been approved in the due course of matters. And I don't have a comprehensive familiarity with what those policies are. But if they have been adopted in a normal way, in accordance with whatever procedure the department has, they would be included.
And how do we go about establishing whether or not that has in fact happened?
Perhaps the chief can go through what the policies are. Typically, in other departments, they number the policies and they have a date of adoption. And if there is a policy that lacks that basic information, then I think it should be adopted in accordance with whatever procedure the department has for promulgating and adopting policies. And I'm not familiar with that. Typically, in most departments, they announce the policy, they give the officers an opportunity to comment. And in the announcement, they indicate what the adoption date is, and the chief basically adopts it going forward.
So that,
Oftentimes, these policies are consolidated or kept together in a binder. Again, I've not had the chance to discuss with Chief Bell how the department policies are assembled, but it is good to have them compiled together so that if there ever is any question, we can look at the reference source and find out exactly what that policy might say.
Okay, and then does that policy get approved by the village board additionally?
I do not have a recollection of any policy coming before the board to be adopted. I would recommend that the chief look at his policy collection to see if there has been a practice adopted and to follow it. It would not hurt to bring it before the board for the board members' information, if nothing else.
Okay, thank you, Hector.
You're welcome.
Okay, so sounds like we have some edits to make, maybe some things to clarify regarding the police department policies prior to a formal approval of this. So I would entertain a motion to table until we have time to address those items.
I'll make a motion to table.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to table. Any further discussion? Any other points anyone wants to bring up?
I would like to see the police manual made part of this document also, at least maybe a separate police procedural manual or employee manual, but at least something that we have in addition to our standard employee manual.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, Ron. Like it should at least be named in here and then either as a, you know, available as an appendix or an attachment of some sort.
Yeah.
But we'll work through that with Hector and the chief.
When we did it in 2010, also the police have statutory things and all kinds of different, and if there's a police and fire commission that reigns. So we didn't touch it in those days.
Yeah.
We just left the police having their own policy.
Yeah, and that's the way I think it's been operating for a while, and we don't have a commission though, so
No.
so it makes sense, I think, for the board to have some input and involvement. Hector can let us know if that's not appropriate or not, but. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to table. Anything else from anyone? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried to the table. Item number 10, discussion of possible action regarding change order 4 for PTS contractors for contract 1-2021 for the Custer Lane lift station. And then, oh, we do have.
Yep, so you saw a draft of this at a previous meeting, and I just want to call your attention to the second line, which is item 4B. I talked before about how the initial startup testing was inconclusive, and we were waiting on a price to plug in there for the pump manufacturer Flight to come back out and retest, recertify the startup of the pumps. I was quite pleased with that proposal number. I was on the lookout for the contractor looking to gouge us for other things that have been going on or whatever, and I feel that everything here is on the up and up. And so the fourth number down, total value, this change order, it's a net add of $6,547.43. So if you would mind making a motion to approve the change order, we'll prepare the 4 signature copies. Of course, I'm happy to answer any questions.
And this will basically close out that project, short of the punch list items.
They will, they'll actually do the startup testing. They've been working on the punch list items. I expect to see a payment application come back for the last, $1,900 here or whatever at the April meeting, and I'm hoping that the project is closed out shortly thereafter.
Okay. You want me to make that motion, or Ron, you wanna do it?
No, I'm not happy with this entire deal. We've been thinking around with this lift station and kind of to get them to accomplish the punch list. And they're dragging their feet. They tried to gouge us with the additional funding. These people, PTS, as far as I'm concerned, are not the best in the West.
Ben, is this not what we agreed to though at the meeting where we said that, no, you're not going to get the adjustment that you request because of your misbid? However, we will grant you the funds for the return of the overages, right?
Correct. So if you look at 4A, that's the item for the extras that they've just kind of previously had been doing claim that are genuine extras, and we reviewed that. And 4C is the net deduction. For the cash allowances, which is what they misbid. So the only thing, and you're right, the board previously gave the direction to proceed accordingly. So we were just waiting to fill in the blank on item 4B, which is the just shy of 2,000.
When do you expect to have that punch list?
I checked out with them again, didn't check out, I checked in with them again this afternoon. I understand they've been back out, they've repainted the door, they've had the controls folks back out. So I expect that Strands Electrical Engineer will be back in time to check out the punch list so that we can close this out at the April board meeting.
So you've been working on this since December.
The punch list, yeah.
Motion to approve change order. I don't like it, but I'll make it.
Can we have a begrudging motion? We have a second? We have a motion and a second to approve the change order number 4 for the Custer Lane Lift Station. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 11. A discussion and possible action to accept the Overstone Public Improvements in phases 1 and 2. Oh, you have the print.
I can take this, I did not print a copy of this for everyone. But if folks would like to at least share or look along, I did print a copy for everyone because I plan on reading it aloud. In summary, the developer agreement with Overstone Development indicates that, they reduced certain incentives because they oversized a lot of the infrastructure at the village's request. And it was part of the whole financial aspect of their deal. So they've completed the punch list on everything in phases 1 and 2. Quite frankly, they completed that punch list quite a while ago. But are just now coming back for the public dedication of the public improvements in phases 1 and 2. Which allows the village to then give them their incentive. Hector, what I intend to do is read out the proposed motion that you drafted. And I added a lot of text with the specifics regarding the description of the public infrastructure. Would you like me to go ahead and read that now, or would you like to make some comments?
Just one comment, I did receive it today, and I have reviewed it. And it appears to be in order for the board to approve and adopt to allow the disbursement of $260,000. Before reading it, though, would you please explain to the board where that money is going to come from?
Yeah, my understanding is that this 260,000, well, for one, big picture, it all comes out of TID 1. And that it's part of a borrowing that has been done by Ellers. That's.
And that money is currently available for disbursement?
I do not know.
Yes.
Brenda's
Oh.
not in the affirmative.
Okay. Well, please proceed to read the motion of acceptance, and it should be adopted by the board, subject to the availability of disbursement as promptly as possible, because as Ben has indicated, Mark Berg completed the punch list some time ago, and he has been basically carrying the cost for this for that duration.
All right, I will go ahead and read it.
Please.
So I believe the appropriate response would be so moved, so please. Listen carefully. Consideration. Consideration, acceptance, and approval of the dedication of the phase 1 and phase 2 public improvements. Consisting of sanitary sewer improvements, including sewer mains, manholes, and extra deep sewer connection to the existing lift station. Water distribution system improvements, including water mains, valves, hydrants, and public portions of the water service lateral up to and including the curb stop valve. Approximately 1,700 linear feet of public street and storm sewer infrastructure, namely Overstone Drive, from Main Street to approximately 20011 Overstone Drive, including in this section of Overstone Drive, the curb, gutters, storm sewer inlet structures, manholes, and storm sewer pipes that connect the storm sewer structures, including 2 cross culverts, but excluding the cross culvert from the phase 1 detention pond underneath Overstone Drive and discharging to the wetlands, but excluding the pedestrian path, some of which were increased in size or scope at the request of the Village of Lannon, performed on behalf of Overstone Condominiums LLC for the benefit of the Village of Lannon, and to authorize disbursement of $260,000 from the village controlled funds as recommended by Ellers Inc., the village's financial consultant, in satisfaction of all work performed.
So moved.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to, were any of these, beams, TV to look for any damage, any debris?
All of the sewers were cleaned and televised. Yep.
Including the redo or the
Yeah,
additional work
Correct.
to
yeah,
the,
and
to the
additional
water.
work off that.
Correct.
Yep.
Just want to make sure.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. That real long one. Item 12. Discussion of possible action on the policy for hydrants and maintenance of hydrants. I think this was a carryover when we were talking about developing a policy for snow removal around hydrants during the winter, right? Adoption of,
That and the flushing of the hydrants and everything else.
right,
And I think we've had this discussion about having our people do it because of the cost. The only criteria would be that when we do it, we notify our water utility operator so that they know what the excess water or where the excess water is going. That's something that we've never done in the past. We do have a computer program that has a list of all of the hydrants, including the additions from 2 years ago. So that can be put on the computer, and that's done by our folks.
yep. And that's typically, I believe, a spring and fall
Yeah, it's twice a year.
procedure, correct? And then, in the past, we have not had any policy or ordinance, on the books about keeping hydrants free and clear of snow. So that is something that I think once we have a new legislative chair, we should probably put something together and adopt that.
Yeah,
So-
it's up to the resident.
Again, just, that's the reason I think this is on here, because I believe we tabled it previously for that. Hector, do we just table it and keep this on here until we have an opportunity to do that?
Yes, I think you should. The other thing you can do is, maybe staff can contact, abutting communities, that have a similar arrangement that we have. for their policy or ordinance. And that would be a convenient way to compare what's in existence to determine whether the village wants to follow that pattern
I'll reach out to.
or wants to do something different.
Yeah, I'll reach out, Hector, to the adjoining municipalities and see what we can gather.
Great.
Motion we table.
We have a motion and a second on the table. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 13, discussion and possible action on deduct meters or discount for summer watering. Brenda, were you
Yes.
compiling the data for this?
I was, but I didn't get to connect with her today. But she did say that workforce does have a seasonal rate. When turned on, the bills, they can calculate the consumption. However, as I was reading through some of the stuff she sent me, I don't know if it's by account, like the people who have sprinkler systems, or if it's everybody. So I was trying to connect with her today to get that clarification, and I didn't get that yet. But the program is capable of doing that coverage.
Doing a seasonal adjustment.
Mhm.
So then the question is really, I suppose we could at least discuss it as a board on whether or not we want to continue to investigate and just look at implementing a summer rate for the water. The idea, again, I think we discussed this before, deduct meters they're an option, but they're a lot more complicated, and frankly, the cost probably outweighs the benefit. The Village of Sussex, they simply have in their billing system, they do a discounted rate for water use during the summer, assuming that people are using more water for outdoor uses, and therefore all of that burden isn't going into the sewer system. Does anybody have any strong opinions one way or the other about? Can you use your microphone?
Yeah, the deduct meters are just a pain. I think the discount for summer watering, and I believe, that they're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of percentage 3 to 5%. Which I think we just determine a number and plug it in. Brenda can do all of the bills the same, no matter what they are, because whether it's residential, or apartments, the apartments are gonna be using water for watering as well as residency, so I think that would probably be the better way to go, but that's just my opinion.
I would question if we can afford it. Our water utility right now is running at a deficit, correct?
No,
No.
not
anymore.
No, when we had to do our full rate case application, the PSC makes sure that you're not doing that.
Okay.
In fact, they demand that you capture a certain rate of return on your investment.
I do want to clarify though, President, you said a discounted water rate. Look, everyone will pay for all the water. It's a discounted
Yes.
sewer.
I'm sorry, yes.
So it's only a discount on the sewer portion. of
Yes,
the
I had
bill.
that. flip.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, because we can't mess with the water. Is that
Right, which is why the PSC is not a consideration, because they do not administer the sewer portion. Yeah, thank you for that clarification.
I don't have a problem with that. I think the discount's a good idea, but how many people kept their wells after they were connected with the purpose of using it for water?
7.
7?
Legally, seven.
Seven legal ones.
Yeah.
And probably 100 illegal ones. Right.
Yeah. It's the only thing that I was thinking of that I remember that that was one of the arguments that people wanted to keep their well for the purpose of
Sure.
watering and washing cars or whatever else they do outside, and they didn't know how many actually went through with it.
But they would have the benefit then of not paying for any water. They can simply use their well as they did previously.
So then they would still get the discount on the sewer.
For their household use, yeah.
Okay.
But their usage would actually remain the same, I mean, their usage would be.
Right,
what it was.
right.
Wouldn't show that they were using more water.
And the sewer,
The
the sewer
previous
currently, yeah, I think it wouldn't, a 3 to 5% move like Ron has indicated seasonally is not gonna move the needle very far for the sewer utility.
I'm okay with that. I was just questioning
Yep.
that portion of it.
That's good point. Any other thoughts or?
Was this a request that came from the community?
So, yeah, there's been, a number of folks that were newer residents to the village that, got a little shocked by their, long establishment bills and have been pestering the clerk's office for discounts and emailing me and, you know, there was some sort of assumption that there was something like this, in the village. In the past, the number of users was so small and as you pointed out, the utility was operating in the red, so it really wasn't an option. Now it's a healthier system. We've got more users. We have more people looking for it. The sewer utility is doing well. You could argue that it encourages more demand to our system, which, you know, probably is a little more, you know, delicate at times than we probably like it to be. Would you say that's fair, Ben?
That's fair.
But certainly. I think it's an easy way to go, and I think it provides us an option, but until we have more answers, it sounds like we probably need to wait until April to make the final decision on this, which, when do they start theirs? Typically June,
I think so,
May?
because April, we would be doing in January, February, and March. So they would compare that, yeah, and then I think it would start like May, June, July.
So with the third quarter billing,
Mhm.
typically June,
Yeah,
July,
second,
August.
third quarter.
Motion to table.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to table, pending further information.
Oh,
You had something, Hector?
yeah, I just was going to raise the question of whether the board has any interest in cross-checking whether any of the individuals seeking the discount have wells and whether those wells have been properly registered. Because the next wave of enforcement will be with regards to illegal wells. And having about 100 illegal wells is a huge number from my perspective as far as enforcement action.
Yeah, I agree, Hector. The ones that I'm aware of are not properties that would have wells. But
Okay.
okay, we have a motion and a second to table. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 14, discussion and possible action on generator bids. Ron, where do we stand on those? Have we gotten those?
We have not gotten them.
I'll entertain a motion to table that item.
Make a motion to table.
We have a motion and a second to table. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 15, discussion of possible action on insurance renewal. So there,
I don't have the final paperwork yet, but they are working on that. We submitted all of the stuff to them to do that, but our policy expires as of April 1st, so that's when the new policy begins, so, we found some things that we needed to remove from our current policy, things we needed to add. So they're still working on that portion, but, costs are what they are, I guess.
Right, yeah, so. In looking at the renewal, Brenda had brought up some questions about whether or not we really had. Everything on there that we needed to have on there, identified some items that likely needed to be removed, like the old fire truck. Things of that nature. There's been some discussion with Strand in terms of, identifying other possible things that needed to be added, like lift stations, like the Custer Lane lift station, right? Things of that nature, so. Hector, would it be appropriate then to either conditionally approve the renewal or to grant me the authorization to take any necessary action to make sure that the policy stays in force?
I would recommend that the board consider conditionally approving the renewal, subject to delegating you the authority to modify the scope of coverage as contemplated.
Okay, should I make a motion?
Sure.
I would like to make a motion to conditionally approve the insurance renewal due April 1st. Contingent upon the final review by President Yates, for that policy to be enacted without a lapse in coverage.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Do we have to share any, since we don't have a fire, we don't have a fire engine here, do we have to share insurance with the Nolan Falls? Okay.
They charge that.
Well, I know, but no.
Well, I mean, we do in a sense that we pay a certain percentage of their annual budget for fire protection here. So that includes their insurance coverage
Yes, okay.
for their equipment and their personnel. And so yes, we are in essence paying it, but it's not a separate line item.
Okay.
Assuming we are insured through the league, am I correct in making that assumption? The league may have some advisory assistance that they might be able to provide to go through a checklist of items that should be covered.
Good idea, Hector, thank you. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 16, discussion and possible action on the payment of the bills.
I make a motion that we pay the bills as presented. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 17, engineers report.
Nothing further.
Item 18, attorney's report.
Just a general comment with regards to the pending sale of the village's lot. We heard from Ms. Jones today. She called Trace, engaged him in a 45-minute conversation, protested the fact that from her perspective, the village is harassing them and trying to clarify the issue of easement. She was told that the easement is intended to protect their interests. She indicated that they were contemplating the possibility of suing the village if the village continues on this path. And then she concluded by saying that they had an interest in knowing what the village wanted for the land, because they hadn't been contacted as a potential purchaser of the property. And the response given to her was that the village is in the process of making a determination as to what the fair market value of that would be. We have also sent a letter to RHP Inc. Proposing settlement as authorized by the board. They made some comments back to us, and Trace is tracking down information in that regard, and we will probably report to you about that at the next board meeting. That's all that I have to report on.
Thank you. President's report, couple items from me. I would also like to thank trustee Martin for 4 years on the board, helping out in your contributions. They're much appreciated. Also, for those of you that don't follow me on social media, which is probably most of you, because I really don't have that many followers. Not exactly an influencer. Ron and Ben and I attended a meeting recently where I guess it was the Wisconsin Department of Transportation Committee was making determinations about funding awards. Strand had submitted a couple of applications for some STP funding and some other funding mechanisms, and as part of the small community set aside. Thank you. The village of Landon was fortunate enough to receive a $4.9 million award for the Good Hope reconstruction project. We're a little admittedly unclear on the timing. It's for the 28-29 award year, but we're not really sure how they back into that, or we move into that. But the good news is that that's a significant award for the village. Very, very significant. So again, thank you to Strand and Ben for his work there. They also agreed to pay $100,000 to help fund a study for the Safe Path?
There's a village-wide pedestrian plan and safe routes to schools plan.
So one of the things that we've talked about quite a bit here is, and through the streetscape plan was, the hope that we could increase walkability throughout the village, and this should help go a long way to at least getting that ball rolling. That should also help with any funding opportunities in the future, having an actual solid plan. So that's great news for the village. Again, thank you to Ben and Strand for that. And that's all I have. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. We have a motion and a second. That was Cal second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We're adjourned.